Hello, everybody. Welcome in, one and all, to the Cue the Chat podcast. My name is Fionn. This episode is shambolic. I started recording it on Sunday. I was very tired. It was very late. Halfway through, I stopped recording, and the rest of it you heard. I recorded at about 8 o'clock the next day. So some of it I'm saying, tomorrow this will be happening. It's already happened. Some of it I'm saying that the Tour Championship final isn't over. You're probably going to end up listening to this on Tuesday because it's like 8 o'clock and there's World Championship qualifiers to be watched. Anyway, so I just wanted to preface the episode by saying this is probably going to be fairly dire. I do apologise. If this is your first episode, this is not what I try to do. Usually I at least record it all in one setting, so it's the same level of bad throughout. But yeah, it's just a little bit confusing, the transition. But hey ho, I'm not recording it again. So you can enjoy it if you'd like. If you'd like, of course you're going to enjoy it. I'm the most enjoyable podcaster to listen to. Well, I'm actually the 16th, but you'll find that out later in the episode. Thank you very much, and enjoy the episode. Ciao. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Cue the Chat. My name is Fionn, and on today's episode, we're going to be having a look back at the Tour Championship. We're also going to be having a look ahead to the Crucible qualifiers. The World Championship qualifiers are on in Sheffield at the English Institute of Sport all next week. Well, all next week. I think it goes on for like 8 days or something. Or is it 10 days? Something crazy like that. That it's long. The qualifying's longer than a regular tournament. And we also, the Cue the Chat podcast was in the snooker.org podcast popularity thing, and we did so much better than I think I deserved, to be completely honest. We'll get onto that at the end. I do apologize for the cough. Yeah, so we're going to start off with the Tour Championship. So at the moment, the final is on. It's currently 8-6 to Mark Selby. John Higgins at the table in the, what would that be, the 15th frame? I didn't see any of the morning session. I literally just started. I just put it on as I'm recording. I haven't seen much of it because I was at work. But yeah, we're gonna start with the Tour Championship. Now the first match was just something else. Barry Hawkins against Sean Murphy, the only one to finish on the opening day. Sean Murphy got absolutely blown out of the water. Yeah, another match that he has been beaten pretty heavily in. I think I might have talked about that in the last episode. Let me actually look that up. When did I post the last episode? Because I might have already talked about this, because I was just remembering talking about how he lost 6-0 in Telford. Well, that tab is loading because the snooker and all this computer crack is all running off my phone's hotspot. Xiao Guodong beat Wu Yizi 10-8. That was 4-4 going into the second session. So that took that second session took about 4 hours. Ding Junhui against Mark Williams. Ding Junhui won that one 10-3. Mark Selby beat Se Jiahui is what his name actually is, isn't it? I think so. Didn't I? Yeah, I posted on the 1st of April. Today's the 6th. Yeah, so we've gone through most of this, but we went through the first round. Now the quarterfinals. This is where the big guns came in. So Judd Trump, Neil Robertson, John Higgins, and Ding Junhui, or sorry, what was it? Judd Trump, Mark Selby, Karen Wilson, and John Higgins all came in this round. The snookers after freezing, which isn't great. Chair is awfully creaky. Jesus Christ, how do we do so well in this popularity thing? Anyway, yeah, so the first quarterfinal, Barry Hawkins beat Judd Trump 10-5. That was a very, very good game. Very enjoyable to watch. Barry Hawkins playing absolutely superb. Spoiler alert, he does go on to lose in a match that I didn't watch, because I was watching the Minecraft movie. What a movie, by the way. One of the worst movies I've ever watched in my entire life, but so good at the same time. I'm going to go off on a bit of like a very random thing here about the Minecraft movie. Nothing to do with snooker. Nothing to do even with the demographic of people who watch snooker. But we're just gonna go off on it. I thought that it was pretty bad, but the amount of like cool references in it made it good. Like they made a reference to Technoblade, who I'm gonna have to explain this. Basically, one of the best Minecraft YouTubers ever. He died of cancer. I think it was last year, maybe the year before. Um, Basically, the skin that he wore when he was recording his videos was like a pig with a crown, and they had a pig with a crown walk past, and they said something along the lines of, "Is he the king? No, he's the." I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, it was just a very nice tribute. There was a couple of other like YouTubers who made Minecraft essentially in the movie, and even more of them credited and all this different crack. It was quite sweet, you know. It felt less like the actual movie was shit. Like I've actually haven't watched as bad of a movie, I don't think, in my entire life. Would this chair stop squeaking and queaking and all this crack? Yeah, but it was absolutely abhorrent, the story. But yeah, it was just funny. Yeah. Anyway, how did we get onto this? Yes. It's because I didn't see Barry Hawkins' semi-final because I went to see the Minecraft movie. John Higgins beat him 10-7 there. I think I watched a couple of like the middle frames because I went to the snooker club after and it was on there. But like the frames that were on at about 9 o'clock, I watched them. But yeah, so Barry Hawkins beat Judd Trump there. He looked unstoppable. How he lost, I don't know. Well, I do know because John Higgins played absolutely superb. All week he beat Zhao Gudong 10-3. There was a lot of runaway wins really. Like there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the matches were won by 10-5 or less. So I mean it's been a one-sided affair all week really. Yeah, John Higgins beat Zhao Gudong, as I say, 10-3. Mark Selby beat Neil Robertson 10-1. Now I didn't see that coming. I did not see that one coming at all. What a match. And yeah, I don't know how that happened. Mark Selby obviously has made it into the final. I don't think that's a spoiler. It's not a spoiler. Well, it's not a spoiler now because I already told you at the start at the top of the podcast. But yeah. Ding Junhui beat Karen Wilson 10-5. What was it? Did Karen Wilson had a nosebleed during that match, wasn't it? Yeah. I was just trying to think there why that was like important. 25-minute break they had for that. Yeah, I didn't watch a single minute of that match. I was so excited to watch the Tour Championship, and I've watched basically none of it. I watched a lot of the qualifiers for the Crucible, though. I can guarantee you that. So then, as I said, John Higgins beat Barry Hawkins 10-7. I'm going to run through all these again because I've been chopping and changing through different rounds at the end. But Mark Selby then beat Ding Junhui 10-2. 10 frames to 2. He beat Ding Junhui. That match was over so quickly. There was barely even an afternoon session, to be honest with you. Didn't even go to the interval. It was superb snooker. Absolutely brilliant snooker. So yeah, and that brings us to our final. As I record, we are at 8-7. Mark Selby is just after breaking off. I'm so tired. My brain is frazzled. So yeah, from bottom to top, round 1, Barry Hawkins beat Sean Murphy 10-1. Zhao Gudong beat Wu Yiza 10-8. Ding Junhui beat Mark Williams 10-3. Mark Selby beat Se Xiaohui 10-6. Then moving on to the quarterfinals, Barry Hawkins beat Judd Trump 10-5. John Higgins beat Zhao Gudong 10-3. Mark Selby beat Neil Robertson 10-1. Ding Junhui beat Karen Wilson 10-5. And then our two semi-finalists, John Higgins beat Barry Hawkins 10-7, and Mark Selby beat Ding Junhui 10-2. Whatchamacallit? Yeah, so that was it. It was a pretty good setup. I mean, it's cool that ITV do the full production for Table 2. I watched most of the snooker I watched actually was on Table 2. Michael McMullen, Stephen Hallworth and Joe Perry were the commentators on that table. For the time that it was in the arena, they did full production on ITVX, camera angles, all this crack. It was pretty good coverage. Using a VPN from Ireland to get that was nice. I think a lot of the reason I watched it was just because I could. Because for years I've barely been able to watch any of the ITV snooker, and now I'm after discovering the world of virtual private networks, and yeah. So we're gonna move on here to the World Championship qualifiers. So I have them here in absolutely no order. Anyway, so the match is starting at 10 a.m. tomorrow, Monday the 7th of April. Hamid Mia against Johan Luce. That was the he was the Brazilian guy, wasn't he? That was on tour last season. Yeah, he did he win a match? I don't think so. He's playing against Hamid Mia. I think he plays in the Northern Snooker Centre with all the rest of the lads. There's a lot of people who play in that club, professionals. Huang Jihao is playing as Aman Iqbal. Amir Sarkov is playing against Maciusz Baranovsky. I'll be keeping my eye on Artemis Sissons against Dylan Emery. Chris Totten's playing against Mitchell Mann. Anthony Kowalski is playing against Rhian Evans. That'll probably be the main focus, I should think. They are the 6 matches starting at 10 a.m. tomorrow. As far as I am aware. Yeah. Those are those matches. We'll just run through the order here. Wang Yuchen is playing against Brian Sini. Dwayne Jones is playing against Florian Nusle. He was on the Sucre Hall podcast the other week. Great episode. I'd recommend you go and watch it. He spoke very well about life on the Q Tour. I thought that was great. I'd advise anybody to go and listen to that episode. Liam Graham is playing as Fergal Quinn. I believe Fergal Quinn played in the Championship League a couple of years ago. I remember him. I don't believe he did too well, but he's played in a professional tournament nonetheless, a ranking tournament. Robbie McGuigan against Hatan Yassin. Robbie McGuigan is a very enjoyable player to watch. Ben Mertens is going to be playing against Daniel Wormersley. Ben Mertens is going to be dropping off the tour at the end of the season unless he can make it to the Crucible. Because remember, anybody who makes it to the Crucible automatically gets a place on tour next season. My apologies. So yeah, for all the Ben Mertens fans, you'll be hoping for him to qualify, as with all of the professionals falling off. Any of them, you'll be hoping for them to get through to the Crucible. Chuang Kao-wei is going to be playing against Zhao Xingtong. Now that's going to be the focus. That's on Monday and Tuesday, the middle session, starting at 2:30. I feel like 98% of people will be watching that match, because that is going to be interesting. Liam Davis is playing against Ahmed Al Asaid. Sonny Kani is playing against Kirish Gurbayani. Faraka Jabe is playing against Bipat Sirapat Bourne. That'll be a good match to watch. Alex Ursenbacher against Paul DeVille. Oliver Lyons is going to be playing against Mohammed Shihab. Manasawin Fetmalaikal is going to be playing against Leon Crowley. He's an Irish guy. If that's on one of the stream tables, I'll be watching that. Andrew Paget is playing against Julian Boyko. Alan Taylor is playing against Joshua Thompson. Julian Leclerc playing against Zhou Jinhao. Jimmy White against Anthony Kazakov will be an excellent match because Anthony Kazakov is no player to be sniffed at, and Jimmy White is I don't know why I was about to introduce Jimmy White. Mustafa Dorgum is playing against Simon Blackwell. Andrew Higginson is playing against Ryan Thomerson. Gong Chenzi is playing against, I don't know how to pronounce that name, Kailan Patel. I'm gonna go with Kailan Patel. Harris Tahir is playing against Joshua Cooper. That's Sean Murphy's nephew, I think. Some relation of Sean Murphy's anyway. Liam Pullen is playing against Gao Yang. Hayden Pinney is playing against Ken Doherty. That's another game to keep your eye on. For sure. Bulshku Reves is playing against Stephen Hallworth. Now that's like one of the greatest snooker commentators at the moment against like one of the most exciting young I'm going to be watching that one. Yeah, that doesn't look like it's clashing with the Ken Doherty match. Yeah, I'll probably be watching that one. Dean Young is playing against Michael Shubarchek. That guy's 14, man. Like, that's crazy behavior. Playing in the World Championship of a sport, age 14. That is crazy stuff. He's got a tour place for next season if he takes it up. Bayu Lu is going to be playing against Liam Highfield, and that's going to be a very good match because Bayu Lu nearly qualified for the UK Championship a couple of months ago against Liam Highfield, a guy who really is a top, 45 player in the world, really. So that'll be good. And Ian Burns is playing against Mink Nutcherat. So, hello everybody. This is the next day. I recorded that Sunday. I am now recording on Monday. I had to go last night before I could finish the episode, but hey ho. So I'm just going to talk you through what's happened so far in the World Championship qualifiers, and also, of course, we're going to have a look at the podcast popularity poll. So I do apologize. This episode has been a complete shambles right from the start, and going on through. Hopefully, it won't be as much as shambolic as it was yesterday when I was recording. Okay, here we go. I'm doing some setup right now. So, as we speak, we'll go. I don't understand how to. We'll go live scores because none of the matches finished except barring one. Right. So there's lots of matches going on. Okay. So Hamid Mia has beaten Johan Luce 10-0. Johan, I don't think he won a match on tour last season, as I've already said in this episode. Who else? Anthony Kowalski 7-4 up on Ryan Evans. That was the main table match. Where is I just want to double check the score. Yeah, 8-1 Xiaoxing Tong. It was looking like it was going to go 9-0 there for a while. I was watching a bit of it on the boss. Yeah, so there's been so much going on here at the World Qualifiers. I say here at the World Qualifiers as if I'm there. I'm sat on my arse at home. Whatchamacallit? So there certainly is plenty going on. Fergal Quinn 6-2 up on Liam Graham. I wouldn't have expected that. Ben Martin 6-2 up on Daniel Wormersley. They had to go off a frame early at 6:30. Yeah, they're the standouts at the moment. So we will move on to the popularity poll. This was done by snooker.org on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. They literally just put up polls. They put everyone into brackets, like as if it was like as if it was a snooker tournament. And this podcast was put in an absolute stinker of a group. We were put in with the 15 Red podcast and the Snooker Scene podcast. Like, thanks guys, you just put me in with probably the most popular snooker podcast in the world. So the Snooker Scene got 92% of the vote, but the top two got through. 5.1% of the vote. we got through. Who else got through to the next round? The Snooker Breakfast and the Ball Run. That's Stuart Bingham's podcast. Beat Snooker Chat. Who else is there? The 147 podcast and Snooker Podcast beat one in a different language, and Bradley Cowdery's Q-Star. Snooker Hall and the Snooker Therapy podcast beat the Me 1 versus Me 2 Snooker with something. I don't know, it didn't load the full name. The Snooker Club and the WPBSA podcast beat Cue It Up in one group. Framed and Talking Snooker beat Snooker Radio with Nick Metcalf. Both of his podcasts put in the same early group. The Wine Rack and 147 SF. It's a a German snooker podcast beat the Snooker Loopy podcast. I mean, there must be some podcasts that are beating the Snooker Loopy podcast, because I very much enjoy that one. And Total Clearance and Totally Snookered, both with the exact same score, beat the Q-less Snooker podcast. Are there any more, or was my one at the top? No, my one was at the top. So then in the second round, I got knocked out by the Snooker Scene podcast, of course, and the Wine Rack. Totally Snookered and Our Own Good podcast got knocked out. Then the 147 podcast and Framed beat Snooker podcast and Total Clearance. The Snooker Hall podcast and Snooker Club beat the Ball Run and the WPBSA podcast. I mean, those are four big hitters. The Snooker Hall podcast, one of the best ones out there. He's very informative, is Dan Murren. Snooker Club, obviously the official one. The WPBSA Snooker podcast is obviously a pretty big podcast, and Stuart Bingham's own podcast. So yeah. And then the Snooker Breakfast and Talking Snooker beat the Snooker Therapy and the German Eurosport, the 147 SF podcast. What else have we here as I scroll up? So then in the next round, Snooker Scene and the Snooker Hall beat Snooker Club and Framed. Talking Snooker and the 147 podcast beat the Snooker Breakfast and Wine Rack. And that makes out our semi-finals. So Talking Snooker won the semi-final. And second place was shared by the 147 podcast and the Snooker Scene podcast. So all three of them made it into the final. And the only one knocked out was the one that I voted for, which was the Snooker Hall podcast. And then, in the end, the 147 podcast won by with a 42.3% of the vote, followed by Talking Snooker, followed by the Snooker Scene podcast. So that was the order. I'll read you out the order of the podcasts. So it goes to 147 podcast, Talking Snooker, Snooker Scene podcast, the Snooker Hall podcast, Snooker Club, the Snooker Breakfast podcast, Wine Rack, Framed, the WPBSA Snooker podcast, Snooker Podcast by Ben and Dave, the Dutch one that I was talking about from Eurosport, the 147 SF by Ralph Kalb, Totally Snookered, the Ball Run, Total Clearance, the Snooker Therapy podcast, me, 16th out of 25, what? After beating Snooker Loopy, I mean, they put so much effort into that podcast. How in the world I am after beating that, I will never know. Me 1 versus Me 2 Snooker, the Q-less Snooker podcast. I listened to that one, Ben and Isaac. I heard about that on the Snooker Scene podcast. Then there is the one that I couldn't pronounce earlier. It's from Eurosport Hungary. Then Bradley Cowdroy? Bradley Cowdroy's Q-Star. Radio Snooker with Nick Metcalf. Then the 15 Red podcast, followed finally by Cue It Up. Really the reason that I bring this all to your attention is just to say thank you, because I mean, we've beaten some pretty cool podcasts there. Like, I listen quite a lot to Snooker Loopy when they post, and I listen to the Q-less snooker podcast, and I've beaten both of them, which is absolutely mental. So yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone who voted for me, and I also want to apologize for the shambolic episode. So there's a lot of things that I'll say that I'll have said that are like, tomorrow, these will be happening, and they've already finished. You'll probably be listening to them the day after they've happened. So I do apologize. I also wanted to say, yes, I forgot. I wanted to say congratulations to John Higgins for a pretty amazing win from 9, or was it he won 5 frames on the trot from 8-5 to win 10-8. Some performance. You could just see the raw emotion when he won. You know, he potted that pink, and his arm went up over his head, and you don't see that from John Higgins. Like, I thought we'd get something like that when he won the World Open, but we got nothing like that. But here he had everybody down. He had the whole family. He had anybody. If you said your last name was Higgins, they'd let you in the door. He had absolutely everybody. So, yeah, congratulations to him. Congratulations to you for sitting through this. The 16th best snooker podcast. Yeah, so thank you very much. We'll see you during the week. I hope you all... What is going on with this laptop? I hope you all enjoy the qualifiers for the World Championship. You can't get them in Ireland, essentially. I'm using a VPN. I'm saying I'm in Japan or something stupid. Will you stop, you stupid... Sorry, this USB stick. I'm using a VPN that's saying I'm in Japan to watch the qualifiers on WST Play. There's no commentary on WST Play. It's a bit of a shambles, to be honest, to watch it here in Ireland, but I'm getting through it. The WST app, the streams keep going up and down. They're on the website. They're always up, but they have no sound. And on the that's on the website, and on the app, then Table 1 and Table 2 I've been having awful issues watching. Table 1's been going up and down. It was alright for the middle session, but it's down for the evening session. It was down for the morning session. Table 2 was working for the 5 minutes they were in play this evening. Because the 10-0 win the 10-0 win that Hamid Mia had. So yeah. Anywho, enjoy the World Qualifiers. I'll be back definitely before the World Championship. I have to be back before the World Championship. And I will see you then. So from me, from the 16th best snooker podcast, it is an adios.